Hey there, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Charlotte with Colorful Teaching for You, and today we're going to be looking at how to manage and reduce teacher stress and anxiety. Now, teaching can be a very stressful career. You have so much on your plate and you're on all the time. And when you do get that break, you don't always get to have it, do you? Because sometimes your students need something from you, or you may need to be chatting with parents about a situation, or there's just a lot more on your plate, like paperwork that needs to be done or meetings that you have to attend. So you have a lot going on, and I get it when you say that you're stressed out or you feel that you're stressed out, and I fully support that because I've been there. So stress, though, if you don't deal with it right away, over time it will lead to anxiety, and anxiety, if it's left to fester within you, can be fairly debilitating. Okay, so the points that I have today are going to help you, for the most part, to work with it within your classroom. And the reason I have these points for you within the classroom is because you may not have extra support to be able to step out. So I want you to be able to have the resources and the tools to manage your stress right away, and then after that you can also do some more work. But right away, in that moment, you need to be able to deal with it. So let's get right to it, shall we? The first step is to note the issue. So what I want you to do is pinpoint exactly what is triggering you and causing that stress. Don't just think about it, but actually take pen to paper and write it down. Because like I've mentioned, being a teacher, you are going to be really busy and you are eventually going to forget it, especially if it happens first thing in the morning and you're expected to wait till recess or even lunch or at the end of the day because you didn't take the time to have recess or lunch, right? Because you might be busy, I get it. By then you probably have forgotten about it. So I want you to take a moment, write it down on a piece of paper and post it somewhere that you can see and you know to come back to it. When you are done that, then we move on to step 2, which is assess the stress. So you're going to acknowledge that you have been triggered, understand it, so you accept it. And then the second thing is to look at what's within your control that you can manage right away and what's not within your control. What's within your control, you're going to work on that first, and then what you can't work on, well, not can't work on, but what's not within your control, that is something that I'd like you to see if you can find additional support for. But first, work with what's within your control. Now, what I'm talking about here, for example, is maybe grading, because you've got so much of it on your plate right now, especially if it's before report cards. That might be something that's causing you stress. Well, if that's causing you stress, can you get your students to help? Can you put them in pairs so they can grade each other's work? Can you create a rubric so you don't have to comment on every single student's sheet, right? And maybe you're just highlighting, because I like to do a lot of that instead. I don't do it all the time, but I do a mixture of it, especially when I need it. So can you create that rubric? Can you create specific office hours? And I believe I've talked about that in a previous video. Can you create specific office hours for, different people that you need to meet? So that is step number 2. Number 3 is I'd like you to practice mindfulness. So when I talk about mindfulness, I'm talking about whatever works for you, really. For me, it's deep breathing. And we take a few deep breaths with my students. We learn how to let it go. And I practice this with them because, well, let's face it, they get the practice, especially when they feel stress and anxiety. And a lot of children are feeling stress and anxiety given the situation that we've just been facing. So this is something that if they are triggered, it's going to kick right into them, and they're going to know exactly how to do it, especially if you practice this a lot with them. So we practice deep breathing. We practice maybe just closing our eyes and centering ourselves. We also practice reflecting, and we just take some time to be. It helps center them and myself, and it also brings them to a point where they can work. Okay, so that is the second one. Remember, it's not just for kids, it's for us as well, for mindfulness. The 4th one is to embrace support. Know that you're supported. Find a community that you can belong to, both within your teaching and non-teaching career, and make sure that you feel supported. It's not just people that you hang out with to go shopping, for example. Feel like you can talk to them. If you can talk to them, then this is a really great group. count this as part of your community for if you need extra support. If you don't have a community or you want to add to your community, then join our free Facebook group, and you can, it's called Empower to Intermediate. You can join right away and we can help you in any way that you need. All right. The fifth step is to find additional support. Now, if you have gone through all of these steps within your classroom and you want to really work on your anxiety, I have done a little bit more of a detailed dive into what is anxiety and how do we manage this on our own time. Okay, so because I understand anxiety, I've been through it, and I always work through it because it's something that it's not clinical anxiety that I'm working with, but I do have it. I've had my share of anxiety attacks because I haven't dealt with the situation, and I don't want that for you. So that's why I'm trying to show you how to deal with the situation at hand right away, and then if you need extra support, you also have the additional support ready for you. All right? So let's recap really quickly what we talked about. We've looked at the importance of managing our anxiety and stress, and we've also looked at 5 different ways that you can manage it, for the most part within your class time, but not every one of them. Some of it you might need to wait till after your students leave. So the first step is to note the issue, the second is to assess the stress, or the third one is practice mindfulness, the fourth is to embrace support, and the fifth one is to find additional support where you can do a little bit more work outside of the classroom. Now, if this does not work for you, know that I am not a counselor, I'm a teacher. And so this is how I practice it, and it works really well. But if you need additional support beyond what I've talked about, then I encourage you to find a counselor or therapist that will work for you. All right? If you need any help in the meantime, please feel free to contact me. And remember to create experience and teach from the heart. If you found this video helpful, please do share it with your friends and family. I look forward to seeing you again, same place, same time. Take care, my friends. Bye.